yourself
for a talk radio experience
like no other.
Strap yourselves in and hold on.
He stands for truth. He stands for justice. He stands for what's right. This is the Alex Jones Show. Call Alex now, toll free, at 877-590-5525. Now live from Austin, Texas, here's Alex Jones.
We're going to have to move quickly if I'm going to get to about 15 minutes of different impeachment clips, boil down of the 6+ hours of testimony Friday as the House Judiciary Committee considers whether they should have a full official investigation as a prelude towards impeachment going to the floor of the House for debate. I supported the impeachment of Bill Clinton because he'd been involved in so many crimes. I was happy to get him on anything. That failed, and I am certainly supporting this impeachment because Bush has done far more. Hard to believe I'm saying this. I don't like Bill Clinton than even Bill Clinton did. But going back to Steve, the caller, for those that just tuned in, he's called in before a few times. I recognize his voice. I was a little bit hard on him because he always spews a bunch of bull. But in all fairness, I was saying earlier the mainstream media lies so much that I don't know when to believe them or not. That's why I go and I research and I look at the facts. In the case of this astronaut saying space aliens are real, they're in contact with our government, I have no proof of that. NASA's been caught lying so much that I won't even report on it, other than mentioning that I don't touch it because it's just a big tar baby. But say on the subject of the White House memo calling for a provocateur action to get a U.S. aircraft shot down, flying it low so they could go to war against Saddam. The White House admitted that was a real memo and engaged in a criminal investigation that's still ongoing 2 years later since that was leaked, trying to find out who the British diplomat is that leaked the minutes of the meeting between then British Prime Minister Tony Blair and George Bush. So we should do what Steve said. When I see an article in the Chicago Tribune that goes against all the previous reportage of the media saying, no, Israel really didn't know that was a U.S. ship in 1967 during the Seven-Day War, and they accidentally attacked it. Well, I'd interviewed scores of people on the ship, on the other ships, the aircraft carriers, the admirals, so I knew the truth, that it was premeditated. So then when the Chicago Tribune came out with the NSA intercepts and admitted it all, I could then say, yes, that's an accurate report. And then now it's all imploded and the government's had to admit. So, see, that's now an admission. Okay, and so I do not just believe something when the media says it. Kind of like when the media came out pretty much unanimously and said the Military Commissions Act does not allow the government to grab U.S. citizens without due process and put them in camps and secretly try them and secretly execute them. I went and interviewed a bunch of law scholars, but didn't just believe them. I read it myself, and it clearly said when they arrest you, they extrajudicially, outside of any court, the executive branch, the president and his designates, that's what it says, strip you of citizenship. And so in a weird lawyer twist, it's true that doesn't allow that for U.S. citizens, but you were a U.S. citizen. They decide extrajudicially, outside of any system, to say you're not a citizen. So, see, I call that as a lawyer twisting. I call that as sophistry and fraud. It's like Bill Clinton saying, depends on what the is. What does is mean? You understand? These lawyers play games. It's like the White House memos from Alberto Gonzales, then chief counsel. And he says, well, those aren't real memos. No, the White House admits those are real memos, and they've tried to defend those policies in a bunch of congressional hearings. And they say in the hearings, when Gonzales and others, then when he was testifying attorney general, now it's Mukasey, just sits right there and says that the president can do something that's illegal because it becomes legal when the president does it. And they said the same stuff in these hearings Friday, saying, well, the president says it's legal, it's legal. And then rightfully so, Bob Barr and others said, no, it was wrong when Nixon did it, and it's wrong now. The president can't barbecue babies on the White House lawn. The president is not above the law, whether it's Barack Obama or George Bush or Bill Clinton. So, yes, you have to be an analyst. You have to study things for years to be able to tell what's bull and what's not. And even when you have a big grasp of the geopolitical system, I mean, I'm somewhat of a master of this now. And because I am a master of geopolitical systems, I know how little I know, so I have to go consult experts and look at core documents and original research every time to make a conclusive finding. And that's why this radio show is so powerful. Because we don't make stuff up here, ladies and gentlemen. We occasionally have guests on that do speculate, and then I call it a speculation and say, folks, this is speculation. We don't know this has any bearing on reality, but it's okay for you to have a thought process yourself, and so if it's good for the process of thinking and debate, that's a healthy thing. All right, we're about to go to break again, and I haven't even gotten your calls yet on the impeachment whitewash. Let's talk to Randy in Alaska. He wants to talk about impeachment. Go ahead, Randy, you're on the air.
Hi, Alex. I'll be really quick. All right, I was sitting there watching that while I was listening to you, so I only caught parts of it, but there was a lot of good things said. It was really obvious that it was just a way to try to diffuse the energy behind this impeachment push. But however, I felt like really made me feel good. Real good highlight was after Bugliosi was done speaking the first time, Conyers turned white, and he could barely compose himself. It was seconds there. He couldn't even figure out how to continue the hearing. And
let me tell you what you saw in the faces of the Republicans and Democrats. Fear.
That's
fear,
right.
Because they have killed so many congressmen, so many senators. They've blown up so many of their planes. They almost killed Ron Paul and 6 other Texas congressmen last week with that fluke depressurization out of Houston. In their aircraft. I had Ron Paul on this week. He said it was pretty scary, and they did basically nosedive downward.
Well, I think it was a good indication that we're about to tip the bucket, and it's about to go our way. We just need to get on board and keep pushing.
I agree with you, and I appreciate your call. Let's talk to Scott in San Antonio. You're on the air worldwide, Scott.
Hi, Alex. I love the show. About the hearings on Friday, I really enjoyed what Bugliosi had to say. I mean, he was right on, and I think he broke it down better than anybody else. However, about Bugliosi, I kind of have questions about him because
he doesn't think JFK was a government operation.
Right. He's kind of an apologist for the Warren Commission. So I'm wondering, what's your take on that? And then I have one more follow-up.
All I know is what he was saying was true about Bush, and that's the point. He's so mainline and so respected as a legal scholar. To have him saying the government was trying to stage events to go to war and the government's criminal, I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, I don't particularly like Bob Barr. I mean, former CIA himself, but he's, looks like he's turning the corner. And that's the point. This administration has done so much that's bad, they've got a lot of mainline people against them.
Okay, and also this Congressman Steve King, this neocon, he was bringing up something about Ambassador Joe Wilson at the very beginning, trying to contradict him, or say that Joe Wilson contradicted himself with the yellow cake uranium. He said something to the CIA, and he was going to provide documents, and I went online, and I don't think he provided any sort of documents.
Well, look, the White House admits they produced fake uranium yellow cake documents, fake aluminum tube info. The British sold the hydrogen balloon trucks that pumped those. They had it in Jane's Weapons Quarterly. The troops going in, the inspectors, those trucks had already been inspected in 92, 93, 94, 95, until the inspections ended in 96. The media, the propaganda corps, ran directly to those hydrogen trucks for pumping up artillery direction blimps, and said these are anthrax facilities, knowing, I mean, they knew what the trucks were. Anyone who knew anything about weapon systems knew what they were. I mean, that'd be like if I went outside and pointed at a Volkswagen bus and said it was a nuclear bomb. But they knew how dumb the public was, that they went to British systems that U.S. money bought for Saddam when he killed 1,300,000 Iranians for us. They went and ran directly to the systems we sold them that were for, again, pumping up balloons that have cameras on them, to World War I technology, to direct cameras that are on balloons to direct artillery in trench warfare with the Iranians.
Yeah, one final thing. You mentioned on your website, Infowars.com, Iran attack, election suspension, and martial law. Is that part of the fear that the Democrats had if they went ahead with impeachment? And
let me talk about that when we get back. That's up on Infowars.com. Stay with us.